With looking at transits, I think that you can become obsessed with transits and sort of only do things when, like don't sign a contract when Mercury's in retrograde, or, oh no, I'll put off doing that until the planets are in alignment. And I think, you can use it to help and wait for things to be energetically aligned, but then you shouldn't plan your entire life around it and only do things when the planets are doing them.
You're listening to Natural AF, the podcast exposing suppressed truths about health, reality, and human potential. I'm your host, Isaac. I'm the founder of Natural Art Form, and I'm joined by my Australian co-host and partner, Alexa, a Psych K facilitator and human design coach. If you're ready to challenge the status quo and explore how the world really works while staying grounded in your deepest purpose, then you're in the right place. Thanks for joining us. Let's get Natural AF. Welcome back, everybody, to Natural AF. I'm one of your hosts, Isaac.
And I'm Alexa.
And this is a very special interview. This is our first interview for 2026. Mm-hmm. And we're just happy as a bundle of kittens to have Sarah here. Sarah Norris is an astrologer. She's got an interesting resume and an interesting focus in the way that she practices and teaches and shows astrology. So
yeah, well, I'm just so excited that we're kicking off the year, this being our first interview, because I've always loved astrology, but I don't know what it is about this time that I'm really deep diving and learning a lot more about just how to read my chart and like what the planetary transits actually mean for me personally, not just looking at the collective. So I'm super, super excited for this conversation. But a quick intro for Sarah. Sarah is an astrologer and tarot reader from Tasmania with a psychology degree, passionate about bridging spirituality and science as part of holistic wellness. In her readings, she uses astrology to uncover hidden or underutilized gifts, understand planetary timing, and explore relationship patterns through attachment theory, while tarot helps illuminate limiting beliefs and next steps forward. As a mother of 2 young girls, she also uses astrology to better understand her children and creates personalized baby books to support conscious, patient parenting. Sarah also works with essential oils, creating bespoke blends based on natal charts, and is developing a range of natural wellness products. Grounded in strong ethics, she believes life happens for us and empowers clients to stay in the driver's seat, using these tools for growth rather than prediction. So great to have you, Sarah.
welcome.
Thank you. I'm excited.
So are we.
Here.
And I love that you used astrology as a tool to help with parenting as well, because when I work with human design, that's such an amazing tool to better understand your children and to, really tailor, because there's so many different parenting styles, but then there's also so many different parenting styles for each, individual child. So I love using tools like astrology and human design for that as well. It's beautiful.
Oh, it's so helpful. It gives you another perspective too.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're very lucky to have Sarah with us. She's got a knockout presentation to help people understand some of the basics with astrology and some of the big important movements that are happening. So if you want, you can go ahead and key that up and we'll jump right in.
Yeah. And if you're listening to this, jump on either Spotify, we have video there, or YouTube or Rumble, and definitely recommend watching this one for sure.
So to start off with, we're just going over the basics and the personal planets. Starting off with what is astrology? So it's basically the study of the planets, the planetary bodies, their movements and how they affect us from where we are on Earth. I use tropical astrology and whole signs and porphyry house systems. So this is studying the planets from our perspective on Earth. In whole signs, you use the first degree of your rising sign. I'll go into all of this in a bit more detail in the next slides. Mm-hmm. In porphyry, you use the actual degree of your rising sign as the first point on your chart. All right, so these are the 2 different types of charts. This is just, that I use anyway. There's lots of different ways of interpreting a chart. So this is whole sign, so you can see your rising sign just starts at 0. Well, your first house just starts at 0 degrees. Mm-hmm. And you can see my rising signs there at 5 degrees. So this will just alter what planets are in what house just a little bit. Whereas in porphyry, this is used more in evolutionary astrology, whereas this is used more in like predictive astrology and a few different techniques, like more sort of ancient astrology techniques. But you can see in Porphyry, where you're looking at sort of your soul evolution, that just like you can see my Neptune's here in the 7th house in whole signs, it's there in the 8th, and it just shifts things a little bit. So you can get, and as well, when you're using a couple of different types of chart, you can get a couple of different layers of interpretation as well, which I really like looking at. Yeah. Okay, so I'm just going to go over all of a few keywords and little bits about each of the signs. So Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. It's cardinal, which means like taking action, and fire, obviously, fire sign. The phrase I am, and people with a strong Aries signature are animated, enthusiastic, assertive, brave, courageous, can be impulsive, competitive, take risks. Sometimes they're unable to receive support and can be uncooperative sometimes as well. I'll sort of go through a few skillful and not so skillful expressions of each archetype, but depending on the situation, they can be interpreted as skillful or not so skillful. So it's just important to remember there's a bit of nuance that goes like with interpreting the archetypes and looking at the archetypes. Taurus is fixed earth, so fixed is sort of fixed, the best way to describe it. I have, so embodied, grounded, living the beauty way, sensual, slow to change, stubborn, have strong values, can be unwilling to move out of their comfort zone. Gemini is mutable, which is changeable, I suppose, air, I think. They live from a beginner's mind. They're playful, witty, intellectual, talkative, fun, logical, scattered, open-minded, and can be non-committal and indecisive. Cancer is a cardinal water sign, I feel, so all about emotions. Maternal, nurturing, caring, intuitive, compassionate, reflective, can be codependent. Identity can be based on needing to be needed and can be emotional.
So just for the listeners, I'm a Taurus sun. Isaac's a Cancer sun, Gemini moon. So we've covered a few already that apply to us.
Leo is fixed fire, I show. So Leo is like the sun. They're brave, courageous, artistic, fun, expressive, bold, authentic, can be self-centered, can need validation, sometimes don't give others a chance to shine. Virgos are mutable earth, I discern. So they're dedicated, meticulous, service-oriented, disciplined, loyal, grounded, can be overly perfectionistic, critical. Sometimes their self-worth can be based on performance, and that leads to that kind of analysis paralysis where they just don't do anything because it's not perfect. Libra is cardinal air. I relate, so that's all about the art of relationships. They're peaceful, harmonising, thoughtful, considerate, diplomatic, artistic, charming, can be codependent. They can, I spelled attached wrong, attach identity to their relationship. They can be passive-aggressive, unable to make own decisions sometimes, self-sacrificing, so may hold off making a decision just to see what others are going to do first because they don't want to rock the boat. Scorpio, fixed water. I transform, so they're deep, transformative, mysterious, secretive, devoted, raw, unfiltered, private, jealous, can be self-sabotaging, can block others out, can lack boundaries and ice people out, do the sting and flick, so say something mean and then flick people off. And the attraction-repulsion dynamic's really strong with Scorpio, which is when people are really intensely attracted to someone and then something will happen and then they'll just be disgusted and don't like them anymore.
Yep.
I have a Scorpio moon.
Well, I have both my parents are Scorpio sun, but my mum's a double Scorp. I think she's sun and moon. So I know the Scorpio archetype very well.
It's unmistakable. Sagittarius, this is my sun sign. The mutable fire I seek, so visionary, seeking wisdom, philosophical discussions, deep thinker yet happy-go-lucky, flows with the adventure, life of the party, can be a know-it-all sometimes, dogmatic, prone to overindulging in excess and imposing own version of beliefs onto others. Capricorn, which is cardinal earth, so I accomplish, so being responsible, that beautiful, wise, elder woman energy, reliable, ambitious, always right, grounded, sensual, can be workaholic. Self-worth can be tied to achievements, overtaking responsibilities, so sort of doing everything for everyone and then getting frustrated that no one does anything. unwilling to try new things and uncompromising. Aquarius is fixed air, so I liberate. So it's visionary, intellectual, eclectic, authentic, free thinker, change maker, quirky, weird, can be emotionally detached, aloof or cool, unable to be present with one person because too focused on everyone as a whole, can be a rebel without a cause, so doing shocking things just because you can. Pisces is mutable water, I imagine. So they're connected to a spiritual purpose in the etheric realms, a sense of oneness with everyone and spirituality and the planet, intuitive, compassionate, committed to dream realms, lack of personal identity because they're a psychic sponge, so sort of sucking up everyone else's moods and not really knowing where their moods or emotions begin and others end, or whatever the right way of saying that one is. Poor boundaries, personal and energetic. Spiritual bypassing can be a big thing with Pisces as well. Identity based on sacrifices, codependency, learned bypassing and learned helplessness. All right, so do you have any questions about any of those?
Well, what I was thinking is, do these show up differently, tend to show up differently with men versus women?
It's an interesting question. I think they can. Yeah, I suppose it depends as well on the rest of your chart, how they show up as well, and how, I have heard a lot of people say like Cancer women can be really needy, but Cancer men are like a really strong masculine. So I feel like in a way it'd probably sound like it can manifest in a different way between men and women, but it just might be like a less skillful or more skillful way of expressing that archetype, just depending on the person in general.
Yeah, I've found that. I mean, just using that example of like having two Scorpio parents, and everyone that meets my parents, they're so different in their personalities. And so they do express that the archetype of Scorpio in different ways, but it's still very much all the qualities of Scorpio. But I would say they just express in a different way, like male versus female.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
it's interesting.
Yeah, and I just wanted to know, just for the listeners, if you hear a sign that, you know, may not be like your sun sign, or, you know, it's somewhere else in your chart, but you resonate more with it. Because I remember when I first saw you do this presentation, I think a year ago now, that's when you went through Capricorn, I was like, that resonates so much more for me than my sun sign. But that's because I have a Capricorn moon, but I also have what I've now learnt to be a stellium. So when you have 3 or more planets in a particular sign, you have a stellium there. And I think I have 4 different planets in Capricorn. So that resonates for me so much more deeply than just my Taurus sun. So if you're hearing any of these and you're like, oh, I resonate with that way more than my sun sign, it could be that. So obviously you'd want to look at your chart as a whole.
Yeah, absolutely. I had a client who I did a reading for, and we weren't 100% sure what sign her sun was in, whether it was going to be in Capricorn or Aquarius, because she was right on the cusp. So when we did that reading and she found out, she's like, no, I'm definitely an Aquarius. Like, I resonate so much with Aquarius. And she has a Capricorn sun, but she was an Aquarius rising. And then I think she had another personal planet in Aquarius as well. So she really, like, that's where that, you know, real resonance with the Aquarius archetype came from.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. It's interesting. All right, so going in more deeply into each of the personal planets. So starting off with the sun, it spends about 30 days in each zodiac sign. So the sun's where we get our life force and vitality. It's like our fuel of who we are, and it's our conscious awareness, our confidence, and our self-expression. And my favourite quote that sounds like the sun is, the opposite of depression is not happiness, but vitality. So if we're lacking sun energy, we'll lack vitality, and that's where we start to feel really low and really flat. And that's why, like, knowing your sun sign and knowing what gives you that vitality and, like, the will to live is so important, because if you're lacking that, then that's why you're flat.
Wow.
Yeah, so it and looking at just some astrology facts, like, it rules Leo, it's exalted in Aries, so exalted means the sun likes being in Aries, and it's called fall or detriment, but if you sort of flip the script, like, the energy is not that resonant to the sun in, where have I got Aquarius in Libra, but you can turn that into a superpower if the sun is there I feel like I didn't explain that super well. So when it's in fall or detriment, it means that the energy of the sun and that zodiac sign are not really super resonant. So there can be a bit of friction. But you can always turn that friction into something positive. It's like when you get through a really difficult challenge and then you realize you've actually got this cool skill.
Yeah. And is that because is Libra, is that a water sign or is that?
That's air.
Libra's air.
Okay.
Yeah, they're both air actually, Aquarius and Libra. But yeah, I think it's just there's Leo where it's super, super happy, where it rules, and Aries where it's exalted. So they're the opposing signs to those.
Gotcha.
I'm not actually, yeah.
Yeah, that makes
Yeah.
And the way you just explained like how you can turn it into a superpower just reminds me of just to give a different or just to explain it in a different way, like from a human design perspective, it's a very similar concept to the open centers. So the open centers in your body graph or the undefined centers where you are more prone to conditioning because you're not fixed in those areas. You don't have consistent access to the energy of those centers. However, the gift of the open centers is wisdom and insight that comes from taking in that energy from others and learning from it. So it's a very similar concept.
Yeah, I love that. I can't wait to have human design reading.
Yeah, we've got it teed up. I can't wait to.
Yeah. Yeah, so the sun, it also fills you with inspiration and creativity, makes you shine from within, where you want to shine, where you want others to see you shine, and you'll feel energized, have vision and direction and purpose. Oh, and we did go over that, but without sun energy in your life, you'll lack energy, vitality, be lethargic and be unmotivated. And I've got some little journaling prompts as well. Would you like me to read those too?
Yeah, absolutely.
So what is your sun sign? Do you know of any traits of that zodiacal archetype that fill your life with vitality? What happens when you're without those things? And have you had experience of being in a relationship with someone who lacks those traits, and how did it affect you?
Yeah, and I encourage people to write down and take notes. If you like you said, have a journal. This is a very powerful way to do some self-discovery, but also focus on things you like to shift in your relationships with yourself, with the world, with others. So,
Yeah. Yeah, one of my favorite things to do with astrology, obviously, is like look at relationships and how to improve them and do your own work to help you improve your relationships as well. So I do lean heavily into, how you can use it in that way. So next we've got the moon. So that spends about 2.5 days in each zodiac sign. So this is how we emote and nurture others and like to be nurtured ourselves. It's our subjective experience of the happenings around us. So feelings are something you have, not something you are. So the moon, it's a lot of our conditioning as well. So a lot of the time we have a real snap emotion or reaction. It's not who we are as a person. It's just sort of our reaction from how we've been conditioned. So the moon rules Cancer. It's exalted in Taurus, and the superpowers are available in Capricorn and Scorpio. Your moon guides you as to how you like to be nurtured, what gives you nourishment, makes you feel emotionally safe. It's our subjective reality of what we're experiencing as fueled by our emotions, our empathy towards ourselves and to others. It's also our maternal instincts, attachment style, how we bond to another. It's our connection to our intuition and our dream realms. Without moon energy in your life, you'll lack being able to express yourself emotionally, your connection to your soul and connection to your intuition. So basically you'll be cut off to your intuition and what you need. Do you know what your moon sign is? Or what is your moon sign is that question. And then do you know of any traits of that zodiacal archetype that make you feel safe, nurtured, cared for? What happens when you're without those things? And have you had experience of being in a relationship with someone who lacks those traits, and how did it affect you?
So just a question on that, just to kind of connect it to something as an example. For me, like as a Gemini moon, how would that go? Like what are some traits around Gemini that talks about wanting to be nurtured or how to be nurtured?
So with Gemini moon, like being an air sign, like they like to talk things through, communicate. Yeah, so if you're with someone who doesn't, or you want to be nurtured by someone who doesn't communicate, then it's probably not going to go down that well because your love languages are different, I suppose.
Well, you picked the right person in me, let me tell you. I could talk underwater with a mouthful of marbles.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. You'd also get some comfort as well from reading and learning, like because Geminis love learning, they're curious. So just, yeah, so keeping an open mind, curious, reading, communicating would give you a lot of emotional nourishment.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah. I just learned that
Yeah.
recently, just again, just doing my own deep dives into like what the houses mean and then the planet that's in that house and what sign rules that house in your chart. And that's what I learned was that, you know, because I've known all the basic stuff around being a Capricorn moon and sort of, I guess, yeah, like how that expresses, but just knowing that the qualities of Capricorn are kind of what I need to be emotionally fulfilled, which is exactly what you're explaining, like with Isaac's example. And yeah, it just brings a different perspective to, yeah, like even just your emotional health. Because again, that's something that we hear a lot about and it's like very general and you got to do this, this and that. But, you know, again, astrology is such a great tool to like really tailor and personalize it to exactly what you need as an individual.
Yeah. So what about a Capricorn moon? How would I better emotionally support and satisfy a Capricorn moon?
Okay, lots of support, structure, routines. Yeah.
Damn it.
We're so opposite.
I'm working on their
way.
structure and routines. I'm very like, spur of the moment, shoot from the hip.
Yeah.
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 Well, I'm glad we're having this conversation now because we're going to talk a lot more about this in our next episode about our lessons learned in 2025. And that was a huge one for me. Not having structure and routine does not work for me at all.
No, it'd be hard with so many planets in Capricorn. You need it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Got it. Writing that down. Put that on my vision board.
Okay. So next you've got your rising sign or ascendant. So that was that little line that I was talking about at the start that was along that side. So that's sort of where the horizon was. Oh, I've written that there. Where the eastern horizon was at the time you were born. So it changes around every 2 hours, but you really need the time within about 10 minutes to get a really accurate like chart reading for astrology.
Yeah.
Is that the same for human design? You need it from around
look, human
10
designs. Yeah, human design's interesting because sometimes you can run a chart throughout the whole day. Like if someone doesn't know their time, sometimes I'll just look at different times throughout the day and like their type might not change at all and their authority sometimes doesn't change. So you're like, okay, I know you're definitely that. And then other elements might change. But then I've looked at some people's charts throughout the day and like everything can change within an hour. So yeah, it really depends.
Yeah, that's interesting. So a rising is who we are at our core. It's often called the mask that we project onto the world. So it's sort of that initial personality that you project out into everyone when you go into a group or a new group of people, new workplace or school. So this determines where your houses are, which impact the rest of the chart and what areas of your life will be affected by transiting planets. So if you don't know your rising sign, we'll be able to look at like the transiting planets and how they're interacting with your planets, but we won't be able to tell you anything about the area of life that it's impacting on.
Yeah.
So it also rules your physical features and your body type. And journaling signs, journaling questions rather. What is your rising sign? Do you identify with it? Why and why not?
And I think I might have asked you this once before, Sarah, but I've heard different things and it could be like different schools of thought around astrology because there's so many different systems. But I've heard with the rising sign that some schools of thought say that it becomes less relevant in like the older you get in terms of how it expresses because the older you get, the more comfortable you get with like who you are, especially more of like your inner self. So that tends to shine through more. But then I've heard from other schools of thought that the older you get, the more prominent the rising sign becomes. So I'd love to hear your take on that.
Yeah, it's interesting. I've often wondered as well because it's got to do with a lot of how you project like out to other people. Like if you're feeling a bit socially uncomfortable, do you just go out and talk a lot or, not talk a lot? I'm just saying that because I'm a Gemini rising. So sometimes when I've gone out, I might talk too much if I'm uncomfortable. And, around people that I'm really, really comfortable with, I'm happy with that silence where you don't say anything. So I think it could depend on how comfortable you are with the rest of the archetypes in your chart, and that could happen with age. So, It's one of those ones that I haven't actually found anything really good to read up on.
Yeah.
So
Well,
if you
that's why
hear
I
of
think,
anything,
yeah, well, and that's why I think I always love exploring different schools of thought around the
yeah,
same thing, because I believe that it's going to resonate differently for each individual as well. So it's like, well, if it resonates for
100%.
you, then that's true for you, but it can be completely different for someone else.
Yeah, definitely. It depends on people's level of consciousness too, like how they express every single archetype, but that'd be true for human design as well.
Yeah, totally.
So Mercury, this is the planet of communication. It spends 2 to 10 weeks depending on the retrograde. So this is the planet that always retrogrades and everyone goes, oh no, like my flight was cancelled and my microwave broke, and it's this planet.
Yeah.
That's how we communicate, think, technology, learn. It fuels how we perceive the information that we receive from the world. And I like this quote from Elizabeth, I can't pronounce her surname. Communication is the lifeline of any relationship. It rules Gemini, Virgo, exalted in Virgo, and superpowers available in Sagittarius and Pisces. And this is how we organise and communicate our thoughts, perceive and organise information about the world around us, how we relate to dreams and liminal spaces, engage with a beginner's mind, be curious and connected to the magic of life. So without Mercury energy in your life, you'll be disconnected from the magic of life, lack curiosity, be resistant to new ideas, and be unable to learn new things. The journaling questions here are, what is your Mercury sign? Do you know of any traits of that zodiacal archetype that fill you with curiosity and wonder? What happens when you are without those things? Have you had experience of being in a relationship with someone who lacks those traits, and how did it affect you?
Yeah, interesting. This Mercury being like the fast traveler, the archetype showing like the helmet with wings, like this kind of Roman character.
Yes, that's him.
Yeah, it's interesting because that's, what did you say? It rules Gemini, right?
Gemini and Virgo.
So that rules it rules your moon.
Yeah.
And his rising, actually. He's a Virgo rising.
Yeah, there you go. That's an important
That's
planet
right.
for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's your ruling planet ruling your rising sign, like the ruling planet of your chart.
Oh, really?
All right. Yeah.
Maybe that's why I'm so fast.
Well, it's interesting again, because then that's why I mean, again, I've always loved astrology, but now, you know, when you, even just as you were going through the archetypes, like of the signs, there's so much in it that relates to parts of human design. And so even that, like, Mercury is the planet of communication, and it's quite strong in Isaac's astrological chart by the sounds of it. And then in human design, he has a defined throat. So he has consistent access to the energy of communication and manifestation and speaking. And then in human design, you know, they say in human design, all roads lead to the throat, because all the energy always wants to be expressed. And so depending on what other centers are connected to your throat, that'll kind of determine what you tend to express more of or more freely.
That's really cool.
Yeah, super interesting.
Yeah. Venus is the next planet. It spends 3 weeks to just over 3 months, depending on whether it's in retrograde in a zodiac sign. So Venus is how we relate to others, the earth, ourselves, and abundance, including finances. It represents our relationship to being and receiving. It's our feminine or yin energy. And I like this quote by Amna, I can't pronounce her surname either. If softness was weakness, the flowers would never grow. Yeah, so with Venus, it's sort of the art of being able to receive. It's not sort of a weak energy. It's just a really strong yet soft energy of being able to receive. So it rules Taurus, Libra, exalted in Pisces, superpowers available in Virgo, Aries, and Scorpio. So this is a planet of relationships, living from essence in the beauty way, aligned with values, connection to your values, connection to what you want. And that's an important part of Venus, is being connected to what you want, having strong self-worth, giving and receiving affection, cooperating with others, having good emotional attunement, balancing the needs of yourself and others, having the ability to attract abundance, to enjoy and create beauty. So without Venus energy in your life, you'll be emotionally unavailable, unable to give and receive love, defensive, and block connections. The journaling questions here are, what is your Venus sign? Do you know of any traits of that zodiacal archetype that mirror how you like to give and receive, to feel worthy? What happens when you're without those things? Have you had experience of being in a relationship with someone who lacks those traits, and how did it affect you?
Oh, yeah, that's such a fascinating planet. I used to work in North Dakota, and I was out during the morning time before the sun had risen, and I was tracking this bright object in the sky, and using the star maps and stuff.
Yeah.
And when I was watching it, I was like witnessing it in Taurus. So whatever season that is. And I was able to successfully track Venus almost all day long. During the daytime, I could find Venus and see it in the sky.
That's cool.
And it might sound far-fetched, but it's like I kept seeing the sun come up and I'd see this white dot, and it was right at the position. I was in the oil field, and there's like the tower of the oil drilling rig. So I had a good frame of reference in the sky to follow it until like 2 p.m. I could still find it.
Well, that's really interesting that you said you saw it in Taurus season, because Venus rules Taurus. And I only know that because I'm a Taurus sun, and I'm very,
Yeah. And that I looked, and I found a little bit of like specks of people talking about that on the internet, but that might be something new to a lot of people. It's visible during the day, at least part of the year in the Northern Hemisphere. So
we've seen it here before. Venus in the sky. I think what they call Venus, and it's very bright. Like, it's really beautiful when you see it in the night sky.
Yeah. Well, Venus she goes through an 18-month cycle, and part of that, she'll be visible in the evening and the other part in the morning. Yeah. And I'm not sure about the hemispheres, but it makes sense.
Yeah, right.
Be able to see her during the day at some point. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, I feel that I very much relate to Venus, because I've always known it rules Taurus, and it is very Taurian energy as well. And yeah, I do love the energy of Venus. I'm very Venusian, I would say.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I love it too.
Yeah. Oh, just a quick question that popped into my head. Speaking of tracking the little tiny dot in the sky, I was like, is there a planet that relates specifically to eyesight that might show up as really good eyesight?
I don't know.
Okay.
I've never heard of that.
That's a good one.
That'll be something for you to research.
Natural AF listeners, go and find me the answers. Yeah.
Next, we've got Mars. So Mars spends 6 weeks to 6 months, depending on retrogrades again, in each zodiac sign. It gives us our motivation and drive. It's our relationship to action, outwards directed energy. So how we go about getting what we want. And the quote for that is, inaction breeds doubt and fear. Action breeds confidence and courage. So it rules Aries, Scorpio, exalted in Capricorn, superpowers available in Taurus, Cancer and Libra. So Mars is what fills you with energy, passion, drive, motivation, gets your blood pumping, gets you to take action on whatever it is that your Venus desires. It's your assertiveness, how you go about getting what you want in a healthy way. It's a really healthy expression of your ego. So without Mars energy in your life, you'll be unmotivated, lack will and drive, be disconnected from what you want, not be able to stand up for yourself. The journaling questions here are, what is your Mars sign? Do you know of any traits of that zodiacal archetype that motivate you, fill you with passion? What happens when you are without those things? And have you had experience of being in a relationship with someone who lacks those traits, and how did it affect you?
Yeah, it's one of my favorite planets as well.
Yeah, it's very masculine.
It is. It basically represents that masculine energy.
I actually love how you explained that Mars is basically the action that gets taken on what Venus wants. And I love that, because that is the masculine and the feminine. Like, they don't operate independently of each other. They're always connected. And I just love that explanation, because I feel like even in a relationship, that's like we've talked about this on previous episodes where, I know I'll just speak from Isaac's experience, not all men, but I do know this is true for a lot of men. But Isaac is very much driven to provide the things that I want. And I'm not talking about superficial things, but to provide for my needs. And I think that is very much part of the masculine archetype. And obviously it's very much represented in Mars and Venus being the feminine.
It is 100%. And if you don't have those energies somewhat balanced in yourself, then you're probably going to sort of send out a really unbalanced energy out to, potential partners and,
Yeah.
yeah, and not get ideal things back. So it's really
Yeah.
important to look at, do you know what you want? Like, do you have enough self-worth to, to ask for what you want and to receive what you want? And do you go about getting it as well?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
in yourself, and then you're able to comfortably, find your role in a relationship, whether it's, that masculine output or the feminine receptiveness. It's
Yeah,
in
and I'll point
those.
that out for men. Like, I don't know if you have any of this in the men that you surround yourself with, Sarah, but like a lot of men have a healthy amount of skepticism, or maybe a bit too much skepticism, or pushback or dismissiveness around astrology. And I find that pretty unfortunate. I mean, it's largely talked about and taught by women, it seems, and can maybe have a lot of like the feminine coloring around it. But I encourage men to take the initiative and learn more about this, because it is more about like understanding yourself, understanding your partner, that whole getting in touch with your feminine side. It's not a bad idea, especially if you're really out of balance, or you're dealing with, I mean, we have to deal with, a relationship with women, with our mothers, if you have daughters, understanding that, but inside yourself as well. As men, we have these elements, and the more you shut them down and dismiss them, I think the louder they get and the more boisterous they can get if they're ignored.
More of the shadow
Yeah.
side tends
Yeah.
to get expressed. That's usually what happens.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I do definitely notice a lot more women are interested in astrology and also human design as well. But then, like, the men I'm not surrounded by heaps of men. I'm thinking of like my dad and my brothers. Is like they're all interested in it. They're not dissing it. It's not it's not their thing, but they're definitely interested. And one of my brothers is quite religious, so this, is a direct contradiction to what his belief is. But we can sit down and have a discussion about, astrology or his beliefs, in a really calm and respectful way, because we are both
Yep.
just curious and wanting to learn. So that's slightly off topic there, but
Yeah.
I
Well, that's
feel like
important too,
it's
because that's a valid
Yeah.
thing that's in the culture. And I found this out years later, but it's like the Zodiac in the Bible is referenced a few times, more symbolically in the book of Revelation, but it's also mentioned specifically by name in the book of Job and a couple other places. They call it the Mazzaroth. And the Mazzaroth was like a Hebrew word for the Zodiac. And it was very much something that was involved in the birth of Jesus and everything. So it was like,
Yeah, I believe that.
yeah.
For sure.
So I know that people that are religious might have a bit of a standoffishness with it, but it's in the Bible a lot.
Very interesting.
So, moving on to Pluto in Aquarius. So Pluto is a generational planet. It spends about 20 years in each sign, which is why it's such a big deal when it does move sign, because it's going to be there for so long. And it's called a generational planet. Each generation's here to burn some sort of aspect of our society to the ground to help society to be rebuilt in a way that's going to improve it for the better. So basically looking at Pluto in Aquarius and how it'll relate to relationships for the next 20 years, so it rules technology, AI, tech, air, all things groupthink, hive mind, Watiko, if you've heard about that, social groups, communities, social media, neighbourhood groups on social media as well. They're one of my favourite things to look at, actually, neighbourhood groups on social media. I've wasted a lot of time scrolling through comments of people angry about things on neighbourhood groups. We're about to see the dark side of how AI affects all of those things and how they get transformed and burned down. One interesting thing I thought was people having relationships with robots. Like years and years ago, there was a Jerry Springer episode with a guy who married his pony.
Oh, yeah. I've seen that clip, yeah.
And people are actually having relationships with robots and starting sentences with, my ChatGPT psychologist said, like, and people.
Right.
Yeah. Some reels have come up a little while ago with people saying, don't type into ChatGPT at 2 a.m. that you've been ghosted and stuff like that. So I'm like, oh, okay, this is getting a bit scary.
Yeah, I've heard of more than
what's
one
happening.
person referring to AI as their boyfriend or girlfriend. And I'm
Yeah.
like, that's just weird to me.
It
I
is
can't.
so
Yeah.
weird. Yeah.
Yeah. You mentioned, well, this we don't have to spend a lot of time on, but the idea of Watigo.
Yeah.
Wetiko.
So
Yeah.
Yeah, explain that just real quick.
So I think it's like a Native American, like Indian term, and there's a guy called Paul Levy who wrote some books about it, which I haven't read, but that's where the idea has come from. So it's basically a mind virus that it's, you know how in groupthink and hive mind where everyone sort of gets I don't know, infected in a way by this idea. And the idea just gets stronger and stronger, and then all of a sudden everyone just has this belief, but there's not actually anywhere that the belief has come from. It's just someone said it, someone else has agreed, and all of a sudden that's what everyone believes when there wasn't really any source for it to come from at all.
Yeah.
Wow, fascinating.
Hello, mainstream society.
Yes.
That's literally, that's
Watico. He's written several books on it. Yeah, it's a lot deeper than that and a lot more nuanced than that, but that's sort of the quickest nutshell. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's all right. All right, so...
And so when does Pluto, because this is a transit that's happening or has happened?
It's happening. It moved into there last year.
Okay.
Yeah. So in terms of like with technology and relationships, so people like things to be easy and prefer to be in relationships where they aren't challenged. But without the mirror of having a partner to mirror back to you any faults or anything that you need to work on, a lot of people will turn to AI to have a relationship. It's like how your algorithm only shows you things that you like,
Right.
and that you agree with, and you're not being exposed to new or challenging information. So a lot of people are going to stop growing.
Yeah, I think that's really glad you pointed that out, because I can see that happening. I can see early on with AI, even people that might be particularly like spiritually awake in a lot of ways, were getting almost like pulled in like a siren, because AI, it's a pattern recognition algorithm and it has a lot of access to information, but it doesn't exactly always read and know all the information. It can like scan through it like you would if someone said, hey, read this. And you're like, yeah, that paragraph looks good to me. And it'll like cherry pick little things and then present it to you as if it's gone through the whole process and this is the one thing that you need to know. So people need to practice a lot of discernment, because it will blow smoke up your skirt, as we like to say in Texas.
Yeah, I like that saying. Yeah. Well, if you've ever searched something in Google and gotten like the AI review answer and read it and been like, that's not correct. Like, you'll know how easy it is to be sucked into something that's not actually correct if you're not using your discernment, if you're not thinking. It could go really wrong really quickly.
Yeah. And I have to point out here, because we actually, that's where I met you, Sarah, was in Leanne Lapinto's community. And I think the work of people like Leanne, and we've had her on the podcast before, I think this is the time with this energy that's going to be at play for the next 20 years. Like, I think this is the time where we do have to start working more diligently on our relationships. And not that they have to be hard work, but you do have to put effort into them. It's like, where you water will grow. And so if you neglect your closest relationships, I think it's definitely going to be to your own detriment. And then, if you're then using things like AI as a crutch, it's, you can almost see like a lot of those dystopian movies and things we see on Netflix, like coming true. It's crazy.
Yeah. It is. And I suppose as well, like not neglecting yourself to make the relationships work as well, just on that other flip side.
Yeah, totally.
And I popped some little some bits of information about like the different Pluto generations and what years they were born. I love this quote by Glennon Doyle. So people who've got Pluto in Libra were born between 1971 and 1983. So they're here to understand relationships and to show the dark side of codependency. So you're here to decide if your life, relationships and world are true and beautiful enough for you. And if they are not, and you dare to admit they are not, you must decide if you have the guts, the right, perhaps even the duty, to burn to the ground that which is not true and beautiful enough, and get started building what is. And I just
Interesting.
Wow, that's powerful.
love that. I love that quote so much.
Yeah.
And then the next generation, so Pluto in Scorpio, were born between 1983 and 1995. Here to understand power, show the dark side of human nature.
Oh, that's
And-
me. So that would my Pluto
Yeah.
would be in Scorpio. Yeah, because I was
Yeah,
I'm
me
born
as
in
well.
91. Oh, yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, I'm 85 too, so it's, yeah. And Pluto in Sagittarius from 95 to 2008 to understand higher wisdom and show the darker side of religion, dogmatic views. I've got another spelling mistake. And Pluto in Capricorn from 2008 to 2024 to have a meaningful role in society and show the dark side of government. So that's going to be interesting to see that sort of generation grow up and
Very interesting.
and do their thing. And Pluto in Aquarius, so 2024 to 2043. So they're being born now, obviously, the Pluto and Aquarius generation,
Yeah.
to show how to be free as individuals and the dark side of technology.
Very
Yeah.
interesting how we're going to see that continue to play out. Because I kind of think that is what's going to happen. Like like I just said, we kind of can see this like dystopian future, futuristic, weird stuff kind of coming to fruition. But I also think it will kind of then go the other way, because that's usually what happens. It's got to get worse before it gets better. And I think people will start seeing the darker side to it and then finding a new way.
Yeah, well, that Aquarian energy is that real dystopian kind of energy. It's like that free-thinking, rebel, innovative kind of person, and everyone has their own unique gifts and brings them together to improve the collective. It's that kind of, yeah, it's interesting. But yeah, so that's that bit of presentation done. So we've got,
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Is there any
it's all right.
do you have any data or anything to share with the listeners about, it was the last time that Pluto was in Aquarius, about that era and sort of,
I don't know about the last time Pluto was in Aquarius.
Because that would have been.
I'll have to look that up.
So if it's roughly every 20 years, that would have been like 140 years ago. Is that right? If it's
It'd
12,
have
there's
to
12
be.
signs. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I vaguely remember someone saying something about the French Revolution, which could be interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's I've got there's some stuff in the transits.
Oh yeah,
that
go
I'll
ahead and
get
bring that
to.
up if you want. Yeah.
I just have one other question too. I forgot. It popped up when you were talking about the sun, and then I forgot it. Because I heard this recently for the first time, so I'd love to get your take on it. Because I'm wondering if this is something that's commonly taught in astrology, or is it
Yeah.
just something that this particular woman's been taught? But I was listening to a podcast recently, and this woman talks about, she uses astrology and human design in like business strategy and things like that. And
That's cool.
it is. And she was saying that that your sun sign makes up about 70% of your chart. And I was just like, really? Like, I get that it's a big part of our chart, but is that something that's commonly taught, or like what's your take on that?
No, I've not heard that. But if it is the thing that gives you your vitality and your, and your life force, then it'd play a big role. But as well, like if I remember one of the first readings that I had done by my main astrology teacher. So she looked at my chart and she said, "Oh, you've got Uranus conjunct your sun." And I was like, "Oh yeah, what does that mean?" She said, "Well, pretty much, you're basically 60% Sagittarius, 40% like Uranus sun, like."
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
So basically, like Sagittarius with a bit of Aquarius sun. So I
Yeah,
thought that was,
interesting.
but yeah, not in terms of what my whole chart was, but so yeah, it'd really depend on what was floating around your sun too.
Yeah. And again, I probably had a bit of resistance to that because she was like, 70, your sun sign makes up 70% of your chart. And I was like, I have so much in Capricorn. Like, I resonate way more with a lot of the Capricorn energy over my Taurian energy.
Yeah.
So again, I think it would depend on each individual. But yeah, I don't feel like that fully resonates for me, that statement.
No. Me neither, but I do love hearing different people's takes on it, and I do love like when they've got different takes and then they have all this evidence and you're like, oh, okay, I can see how how you came to that conclusion. Yeah, it just makes it all more interesting, I think.
Yeah.
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 Well, just real quick, just speaking of AI, it's handy for like quick initial research. You can go quite deep, but the historical context around the last time Pluto was in Aquarius. Now, I don't know if quote unquote Pluto was discovered around this time period or if it was way, way later. I don't know when Pluto became a known element, but 1777 to 1798. So that puts it around the American Revolution, the French Revolution, the Industrial Revolution,
Oh, interesting.
and something that I had never heard of, the Haitian Revolution.
Oh, wow.
Go Haiti.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was the only successful slave revolt in history, according to Gemini. So,
Wow, that's
Gemini
really interesting.
Brett was it?
well, that was the Gemini.
Gemini
app.
the search thing. Oh,
Yeah. I know. I really don't like that they're calling all these things after. Like, there's Gemini. Wasn't there an Aries one at some point? I don't know if it was an AI thing, but it was some platform called Aries.
Well, I was looking at Snapchat did a project Aries during some transit of something into Aries, beginning of Aries season.
Just gets very
years.
confusing about when we're talking about astrology already.
Right. Yeah, it is interesting they call it Gemini. This stuff is intentional, by the way. Like they know.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
They have numerologists, they have astrologists probably on staff at most of the big organizations.
At the they headquarters.
Yeah. And they changed Google to Alphabet. I wonder what the numerology is on that. Anyways, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
We're building something
Interesting.
more important.
So have you got any other questions before we move on to the big transits? Because I'm super excited.
No, I'm excited to get into
this.
the transits.
Yeah.
Do you need to share screen on this or do you want to just read or?
Maybe just read because it is just typed, so it's a bit it's a bit all over the place.
So, because at the time of filming, so today is the 29th of January, and we did just have a major transit just a few days ago. So, let's start there.
Yeah. All right. So, I just have a quote that I want to read first. So it's by an astrologer called Ari Moshe Wolf, and it's about this year. He says, "This is not just another year. This is an initiatory moment, a seeding that began an entirely new evolutionary cycle." So a lot of astrologers are super, super excited about this year.
Yeah.
So basically on the 27th, Neptune moved into Aries. Now Neptune's a really slow-moving planet. It takes 12 to 14 years to change sign. So it'll be in Aries until about 2038. Now, when Neptune was in Pisces, spirituality could easily be misunderstood or misconstrued in a way that separated us from our individual essence. So a lot of dissociation and that sort of thing. So with its move back into Aries, we have the opportunity to move back into what makes us feel good, into our own individuality and to allow things to unfold for us. A lot of the stories that we tell ourselves as to why we can't do things can all fall away. There you go. So
I'm hearing a lot about the energy of, which is probably why it's stuck in my memory because it's you can see it, that the energy of Neptune in Pisces has been very much about people staying a victim and waiting for someone to come and save them. And we've seen that. Like we've seen that and that learned helplessness. And I think, with it moving into Aries, like very different energy that we're going into.
Yeah, so it's sort of taking away all the stories that we tell ourselves as to why we can't do things. So that's all that conditioning, like sort of learned helplessness that, oh no, I can't do it, I won't do it. And as well, I thought as just another part of that, like that whole dissociation thing is that a lot of people use religion and like stories that they tell themselves about groups of people as a way to dehumanize others and then to commit unspeakable acts against those people and think because of that belief that it's justifiable. So the Neptune in Aries is asking us to break away from all of that conditioning and groupthink mentality that allows that kind of behavior. So really to connect back into our humanity and act from a place of raw authenticity. And I wrote down the Nike slogan there too. I wrote, "Just do it."
Yeah, that's Aries energy.
Yeah, it's that energy of like, just do it, just take a step. And I suppose because Neptune's is more of a slow moving planet, like it's like, okay, if you want to take a step, just take a little step, see how that ripples out, then take another step. Like we've got time to play with this energy. Yeah,
I love it.
which is good.
Yeah. And so just to mention too, obviously, like we're going to talk about them more, but that's, I think, what is one of the most significant. Well, there's a few different things, but one of the significant things about all the big transits this year is that they're all moving into fire and air signs, which is very fast moving energy, very quick, well, it's very masculine energy, isn't it?
It's
the fire
massive.
and earth signs.
Yeah, so
fire
they're
and air,
all
sorry.
in. Yeah, they're all in these yang signs. So we'll have Pluto in Aquarius, Neptune in Aries, Uranus in Gemini, Saturn in Aries, Jupiter in Leo, and the lunar nodes will move to air and fire. So by late
Ooh.
July, all of these planets will be in these really fast-moving, changeable signs. So I feel like, the end of the year is probably just gonna, like, it'll be there in a couple of weeks.
I've got to say, just you saying all of that, I'm already feeling a little bit nervous because I'm like, time feels like it's moving so quickly already. Like it's been like that increasingly over the last few years, but especially last year or the last couple of years. And so now I'm just like, oh my God, it's going to get even quicker. Like it's a little bit like anxiety inducing, but I think that's why it's even more important to be aware of this stuff so that you don't get sort of swept up in the energy. And like, again, from a human design perspective, being a projector, I'm quite sensitive to energies and I'm only really just sort of becoming more and more aware of that, like how sensitive, because I used to, like I always knew that I was an empath, like very empathic towards people, but now I'm actually realizing I can sense what's going on cosmologically and I have no idea what's actually going on. And then people will tell me, oh, this planet's moved and this has happened. I'm like, oh my God, I've been feeling that. So I think having that awareness and just knowing then so you can preempt, how you deal with it, how you look after yourself, and then how you can utilize the energy that's available.
Yeah, I feel like everyone feels like there's a lot of build up to something yet, and it's just like that uncomfortable, like you're about to sneeze and it's just not happening kind of feeling, just floating around.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can definitely identify with that as well. And I'm feeling the Aries. I just feel more like initiatory, but also a bit of that, like when you're about to, take the plunge or do something that's kind of scary and big. This hesitation and fear, but it's important to lean into it, I think.
Yeah.
Especially as men, I think we need to embrace a little bit of that ground, be connected with the feminine, don't just like reject it and just be like, we're going to go in the woods and club things. But we need to actually take initiative, make the change, start the business, ask the woman out that you're interested in, like take the initiative and go. Like this is a great time. The energies are at your back in a lot of ways to make changes. And I don't know anybody that that doesn't have a change they want to make in their life, whether they've been holding off or hesitation. So let these energies guide you and push you into that, whatever that is for you.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
All right, well, the next planet to move into Aries is on the 14th of February, and that's Saturn. So that's a slow-moving planet as well. It takes about 3 years to move through a sign. So Saturn is a really polarizing energy to Aries. Like Saturn loves discipline and focus and steady, considered motion. And as we've discussed, like Aries is really fast and impulsive. So Saturn helps you to face the consequences of your actions. So if you do something without thinking, having Saturn there will make you go, okay, I did this and this didn't work, so I need to make a plan about how to fix it, kind of thing. Saturn's a planet of karma as well, so you get out what you put in. It's so it's basically giving us an opportunity to take action that's aligned with our hearts. So to think, okay, this is what I want, like from a place of really pure ego, and then, let's make a steady plan to make it happen and to make it stick as well.
Yeah. And is it Saturn moving into Aries that's at 0 degrees, which has never happened before in history?
It has.
It
So
has?
that'll on the 21st of February, we'll talk about that. Oh, I've got an eclipse to talk about first, but
Yeah, right.
so on the 21st of February, it's like arguably the biggest transit of 2026. so Saturn and Neptune will conjunct at 0 degrees
right.
Aries. So that's like the degree of infinite possibility. It's the first, like 0 Aries is the very beginning of the zodiac, the whole cycle. So it's like this
Wow.
really beautiful, fresh spark of life. But it did. I was watching a Pam Gregory video, and she said that Heather Ensworth said that the last time these planets met at 0 degrees Aries was 6,000 years ago. So
Wow.
who knows what happened in the world then.
Mm.
But last time Saturn and Neptune had a conjunction was in, where did I write that? It was every 36 years. I didn't write down what year it was, but they had there was the fall of the Berlin Wall.
Oh,
And
wow.
that was in
That was 86, I think. That was when I was born.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was so and then that was in Capricorn when I don't know what degree, but Capricorn, and that's all about sort of like government structures and things like that. So sort of tearing down and reimagining this government structure. So with Aries it's who we are and what we want and acting from a place of raw authenticity. So it's just going to be really interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, very
that.
interesting. Yeah, like that 0 degree point of Aries, the start of the zodiac, like that, when you just said infinite possibilities, I'm just like,
it just gave me a little bit of chills. Exciting.
So that's 21 Feb, you said?
21st of Feb,
21st of Feb.
In Australia, so the 20th in the other part of the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'll just keep talking about it now because I'm excited.
Sure.
And so it's basically a reimagining of who we are as people and how that ripples out to society. So basically Neptune wants us to imagine from our essence, like, and again, going into that Neptune in Aries, like what personality have we created around our trauma and what stories do we tell ourselves about who we are and how can we drop and unravel that conditioning. And having Saturn there gives us a feeling of purpose, like, no, I want to act from who I am at my heart and putting in what you need to bring that into fruition, to make it happen. Yeah, it's basically redreaming who you are and putting the work in to make a fresh start.
Yeah,
I love
really
it.
excited for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, same. It's great.
Yeah, and I can kind of see, like, as leading up to it, I see a bit more of this happening, but it could be just going on through the whole chart and just in the way this transformation happens. But it's ideas that are being talked about that have been like hush hush, like that's that Pluto and Aquarius and like digging deep and turning over stuff and like even like deep seated identities, like you just mentioned here. And I'm excited to see what people come to when they come back to like who they really are. That's kind of the purpose. I mean, that's a central purpose of this show, is coming back to who we really are and identifying what that is, how to live your most authentic life. And to me, astrology is such a key way to get those deep insights. And more importantly, or maybe equally as important, looking around the corner a little bit, like what's coming, which is, it's so cool to be given a heads up of what's available, what opportunities are coming.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And what a cool transit to be alive for. Like, it's so cool.
Exactly.
Totally.
I know. And I keep thinking, like, what are some ways to activate this energy or like to interact with it a bit more? And maybe you have like an idea of like maybe what you're planning on doing for like a ritual, or maybe something that you want to like read or say or do at the time of that transit. Are you into that kind of stuff?
I am, but I also don't want to put too much focus on, I have to do something at that time, because that sort of takes like the magic away from the transit. But well, for me anyway, I know a lot of people like to do things right at that time, as long as you're being intentional about it. I don't think it has to be the exact time. But it's actually really close to my MC, which is my career line. So I'm just doing a bit of journaling and doing some just study and just basically picking out little bits and pieces that I really like and sort of not stressing about whether it's going to lead to anything or do anything, just enjoying little things to do, well, lots of things to do with work and just seeing where they lead, I suppose. It's like just taking a little step, seeing how it ripples out, figuring out if it's tangible, just working in that way. doing a lot of journaling.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's very fitting that, we've got these 2 planets moving into Aries, and then they're going to be, did you say conjunct at 0 degrees?
Yeah.
And then we're going to have officially the year of the fire horse.
Yeah, that's a few days before.
Yeah, well, that's, I think, 17th of Feb. So it's literally between those 2 planetary transits. And I mean, it couldn't fit any better because it's very much that yang fiery action energy. Yeah. And so I can definitely, and I can definitely say how, that's kind of what I'm envisioning is like this, we're off to the races, like the horse is out the gate and we're not going to stop anytime soon after that.
Yeah, well, it gets better like that. There's on the 17th, which is the start of the Chinese New Year, there's the Aquarius solar eclipse.
Oh, wow.
So that helps us to bring in a new spark of revolutionary thought. And it's conjunct Mars and Venus, which, makes me think, it's a really exciting moon for new ideas and breakthroughs in relationships, but also in, with your own inner masculine and feminine energies aligning. So it's, it's really cool.
That is cool.
Mm. Yeah.
So what's next after that? It feels like a long list
what
this
else
year.
We got?
So going into, I thought something had gone wrong with my thing then. The 3rd of March, there's a Virgo total lunar eclipse. So we talked about Virgo a little bit before with that archetype. So it's a lot of perfectionism and insecurity about sending things out that are not perfect and letting go of having such a rigid control over things. So I suppose that's a really good energy to work with after you've sort of, with experimenting with really reconnecting back to your essence, not sort of getting stuck in that, I'm going to say it again, like analysis paralysis of, I can't do that because it's not quite perfect, like just letting go of things being completely controlled and not so rigid about things.
Yeah. So what insights do you have with like the meaning or kind of like what goes on with eclipses?
Well, I suppose because it's an eclipse happens when the lunar nodes of the moon and the moon are within like 10 degrees of each other, and sort of how close they are will determine like whether it's a total eclipse or a partial eclipse. And the lunar nodes basically are our soul's evolutionary journey. And talk about sort of the evolution of the collective as well, like when you're looking at them as a transit. So they're just a bit more powerful than just a normal full or new moon because they're giving us that, like I suppose, a mini course correction.
So does it almost like amplify the energy of whatever sign it's in?
Yeah, definitely.
Cool.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, like supercharges it.
I don't know if you follow the works of Crow 777 at all, but he's big into, he telescopes stuff and films it. And I don't know if I've seen any videos he's done of the moon during an eclipse or the sun during an eclipse, but he also does a bit of sun gazing.
Yeah.
And he said he saw during an eclipse of the sun, he actually looked straight at it, but he'd been training his eyes to be able to hold that energy without going blind. And he said it was just like this portal. It just looked like a portal. And he said it just felt like a real chaotic energy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
But this is a lunar eclipse. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a powerful portal of something, energy.
Yeah. So it's a full moon. So it's a letting go energy.
Okay.
Yeah. It is, eclipses are really shaky and uncontrollable, but a lot of people won't, how people like to put their crystals out. Like a lot of people say, don't put your crystals out under an eclipse. I have done that. Nothing bad happened.
Good to know.
Nice. Yeah, good.
Let's see what happens.
Yeah, interesting.
I suppose you got to use your discernment with those things, really.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it'd be interesting because I know like the crystals in the moon, that's pretty common, but do you guys ever think about the metal silver with the moon? What if you put a crystal on a silver coin in the moon during an eclipse? I think a freaking laser beam would shoot out of it.
Have to try it.
See, I'm that guy. Like I'll like clash ideas together and be like, oh, no one's ever done this
that's
before.
like 3-line at play. And actually, I haven't looked at your chart, your human design chart yet, Sarah, but you might have a 3-line too. Because even then you were just like, I tried it and it was fine. I was like, that sounds like a 3-line thing. Like, I'm just going to try and see what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
So when did you say that eclipse is?
the 3rd of March.
Okay, so that's in March. And then is there anything between then and the big, because is it Jupiter that's moving next in July or something?
June, Jupiter moves into Leo,
June.
but I've got some more.
Oh, there's more
in there.
between that.
There's
Wow.
more. Yep. 26th of April, Uranus moves into Gemini.
Oh,
So slow moving planet, be there for about 8 years. So Uranus is like the Tower card in the tarot, so it can mean a lot of accidents, and especially in quick moving Gemini. So hopefully that I'm wrong. Very sudden and radical changes with access to higher mind downloads. So a lot of astrologers say that Uranus is access to your higher mind and sort of downloads from past lives and things like that.
Oh, wow.
So it's got to do with technology, and it's where a lot of really innovative and out of the box ideas come from. And having Gemini, moving into Gemini, the sign of communication, it's associated with transport and children as well. Having Uranus move into an air sign feels like things are going to move at lightning speed, especially because it does have that sort of really rapid, sudden kind of energy.
Yeah.
It gives a bit of an unhinged kind of vibe. It feels very fly by the seat of your pants being there. So I think it's going to be
I'm looking at that. I'm like, you better watch that one, buddy.
Yeah.
He's a fly by the seat of your pants kind of guy.
You're going to have Uranus moving by your moon, which is, unhinged emotions. Yeah, it's going to be moving over.
Lord.
It's conjunct my ascendant at the moment. Yeah.
So don't do anything rash at that point.
Yeah.
No, good. We'll keep an extra eye out on that around that time.
Good to know.
Yeah.
I come back and I just shaved my head for no reason.
Well, it'll be there for about 8 years, so we can have a look at your chart and just give you some key dates where
that'll be helpful.
To just be mindful where you might be feeling a bit more unhinged than usual.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because I was telling a friend of ours my current status now, or the way I think now. I'm like really paying attention to transits and then astrocartography.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at some interesting things. I've had some big epiphanies around a bit of that. And I've just been observing and noticing stuff because I feel like I said before, what kind of rituals do you plan on doing when certain things happen? It's cool, but it's not super important. I think what's important is when you feel this desire to move or do something that feels in alignment, go and do that. Because you'll often find, if you go back and read your chart, that was exactly the kind of energies that was beneficent for you or beneficial or guiding you somewhere.
Yeah.
So trust the process.
I think a lot of the time when people come in for readings, they're moving through something and I'll look at their chart and go, wow, I'm not surprised because this and this and this is happening. And it's just knowing how to work with them. But as well with looking at transits, I think that you can become obsessed with transits and sort of only do things when, don't sign a contract when Mercury's in retrograde, or, oh no, I'll put off doing that until, the planets are in alignment. And I think, you can use it. You can use it to help and wait for things to be energetically aligned. But then you shouldn't plan your entire life around it and only do things when the planets are doing them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The way I look at it, it's I totally agree with what you're saying, because that's the other temptation is to be like, oh, nope, I can't do this. I start putting up, these walls. But have you seen that movie Maze Runner?
No.
For those that have seen it, it's kind of like
based on a book, as it was a book series, and I think there's 3 movies.
It's kind of in the same vein as what's that, Divergent or
Hunger Games.
Hunger Games.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Similar kind of genre. In my view, Maze Runner is about astrology. And instead of being up there, it's this maze, and they have to move and run at certain times, and it shifts like a clock and it's moving. So, spoiler alert.
I need to watch it. Yeah.
Yeah, watch it. They're
It still
actually great
has-
movies. Yeah.
Yeah, but watch it and think about it like with astrology and think about the different seasons and the times. And it's like, all right, something's opened up. It's time to go. It's like, that's kind of how I look at it. It doesn't mean you can't do that, but you might find resistance in areas that make it a little bit harder to do something or big shifts or changes. And then sometimes the energies just line up. There's an opening and then go,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, like today, like we didn't plan it this way, but Mercury and Venus are conjunct, so it's a really good day for having conversations.
Wow. I
Yeah.
can feel it. Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, didn't plan it that way, but it just it does help when it lines up, I think.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
one because Isaac's, well, we've got a reading with you booked, and he's for a while he's
Yeah.
been wanting to say because we've had to pick some dates for some things, and he's always talking about like we should do this for the business, like when the time's right, we've got to look at the astrology, blah blah. And I'm a little bit more like I just trust that whatever date we pick or whatever time we choose to do certain things, I just fully trust that by divine timing or our connection to the divine, it will just I think when the intention is pure, I believe those things do just work out. Very different energy when
Yeah.
you're going into something like overthinking it, overanalyzing and trying to make sure everything's perfect, because often that's when you do
Yeah.
tend to choose things that might not be fully aligned.
Well, yeah. Well, that's when
yeah.
you're telling the universe, like, I don't believe this is a line for me, and you're just pushing it away, really, by
Yeah.
doing that much overthinking and
Yeah.
yeah.
So I think it can definitely, like things like, astrology, looking at the transits can help to guide. But yeah, it shouldn't then become a limitation where, I can't do this because this is happening in with the planets. I think it just gives that extra level of awareness to like, if you, for example, like you said, like, don't sign a contract at this time. Just knowing that if you do happen to sign a contract at that time, just know that it could go a little awry, or there could be some resistance, or it could be slow, or like whatever the energies are at that time.
Yeah, double check things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what's next on the list?
Next is the 7th of May. Pluto will go retrograde in Aries.
Okay.
Yeah, so Pluto, obviously that generational planet. So it's when a planet's energy directs inwards and they appear to be moving backwards in the sky from our perspective on Earth. So it's basically asking us to go inwards and look at things really deeply to see what the shadow side of the collective is that needs to be transmuted. Yeah, so just looking at themes to do with groups and hive mind and those sorts of things. So that'll be retrograde until October.
Oh, okay.
So that
Quite a few
starts,
months.
you said that starts in May?
May. Just after my
It
birthday.
starts in May. Yeah.
Yeah, fascinating.
And then in June, the 30th of June, Jupiter will move into Leo. So it'll be there for about a year. So Jupiter is really expansive. It expands Leo energy, which is bold, creative, and authentic. So it's basically looking for ways for us to express ourselves. And it's a polarizing sign to Aquarius. So we're going to have, obviously Pluto retrograde in Aquarius, sort of inviting us to pull in and really think about Aquarian themes. And then we've got this Jupiter moving into Leo, which is helping us to really express and really explore like that Leo energy, which is really like warm and from the heart, which is a really good antidote to that aloof and sometimes cold Aquarius energy. So I think
nice.
that's a really cool thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that'll be
also
interesting.
with Jupiter, because I heard this recently, again, I've been deep diving into astrology, and I haven't heard this much because, obviously we know like Jupiter's the planet of expansion and good luck and good fortune, but it will also expand things that may be more negative. So
Yeah.
is there anything like to kind of look out for when it goes into Leo? Like what could maybe be some of the, negative aspects or shadow sides that could also be expanded?
Yeah, well, being too egocentric, being too bold, just all of those sorts of unskillful expressions of Leo energy, not allowing other people to shine, taking the spotlight, being a bit selfish.
Yeah. Bossy
Yeah.
boots.
Yeah,
I've got so
bossy,
many.
that's what I'm looking for.
I've got
Yeah.
so many. Well, one of my cousins in particular, she's like that on my dad's side. She's the eldest of all the cousins, and she's a Leo.
Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
we always say, stop being so bossy, you bloody Leo, because she's like just got that. Like but it's funny because she does have the best, like purest heart. Like she's just got such a good heart, and she's always wanting to help people or whatever. But we've always, like growing up, she was always the boss of us younger cousins, and it's like so Leo energy.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to watch. So my daughter's Leo sun,
Yeah.
and I was like, it's not what I would. She's not what I would typically think of as a Leo. That's why I was asking, like, oh, is this different for different genders? But I'm just kind of learning more about it now, and there is a bit of that. Like she does have, like the people that are in her environment tend to look up to her and like look to her for guidance and stuff. She doesn't rush out and like take the lead, but just naturally is invited into that.
Yeah.
So,
But doesn't it also, that just reminds me actually, because I read this quite a while ago, but I read something that was talking about where you're born in relation to, because obviously each sign, like the season is roughly, what is it, like roughly, not even 30 days? Or is it
Around about 30 days.
Okay,
yeah.
about 30. So if you're born within, like, say, the first 10 days of the season of that sign, you get a little bit of the energy of the sign before. And then if you're born in the middle 10 days, you're very true to that, like the sign, like your sun sign. Or then in the last 10 days, you can pick up more of the energy of the sign after. So is that kind of, can that play out as well?
I have heard that, and I think it'd depend on all of the rest of your chart as well.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Sure.
But I've definitely heard that too. Yeah, I've also heard it like with it sort of cut in half. Like if you're born in the first half, you're a different,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, because it's interesting too, like, because I'm born 5th of May, so I think I technically fall in like the first 10 days.
Yeah.
And then if I've looked into like my Vedic astrology, in Vedic, I would be an Aries sun, which is really interesting because when I first looked this up, I was like, I'm not an Aries, because I think Aries can get a bit of a bad rap, especially, I don't know, Aries women, again, it's interesting, like the male-female thing,
Yeah.
because I've never had an issue with Aries males, but I know a lot of Aries females that are just like, can be such a pain in the ass. But that aside, there are really good traits that sometimes will get overlooked because we might see the shadow side play out a lot. And when I actually read, because this was years ago, when I actually read more into the sign of Aries, I was like, oh, that actually is a lot of, like, I can see how a lot of that plays out in me. So yeah, interesting to look in, again, when you're looking at different systems, you can be picking up like the sign before or after.
interesting.
Yeah, definitely. It is really interesting.
Yeah, I will say that the creativity thing for Leo definitely resonates for my daughter. She's very, very creative. She's mostly just does art. She does a lot of creative drawings and just, yeah, it's like infinite amount of like ideas that she comes up with, and she'll just, it's like she can't not do it. She's compelled to just always be drawing. She's been drawing and painting every day for like, I mean, at least the last 5, 6, 7 years, like maybe more. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and it's really cool. Yeah, one of my daughters has got Leo, Mars, and Venus, and she's very creative, very, just very caring, and that's part of with my baby book. What I looked at with her, I was like, oh, okay, she's not being bossy. She's not like hogging the spotlight. She is actually supposed to shine. Like that's where she's supposed to be, and that's been really, really good to know. Like being her mum, like okay, how can I support her with shining like she's supposed to?
That's so beautiful.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
nice.
very good.
What's next on the list? What's the
all right,
next
so-
big thing happening?
So I do want to say this isn't every single transit of 2026. It's just my favourite ones.
Yeah.
So on the 16th of July, Uranus will make a sextile to Neptune. So this is part of a set of sextiles. I think there's like, how many was there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is, number 3 of, 2, 3, number 3 of 5 of these sextiles. So it's basically Uranus is that really radical, unhinged sort of thought pattern. with access to higher mind and insights from past lives, with dreaming up our dream reality and breaking away from groupthink mentality. So it's basically giving us an opportunity to access, these really radical new ideas to do with who we want to be and what we want our reality to be like, which is really, it's just, that's a pretty cool one.
Yeah, nice.
I'm just curious what your definition of unhinged is. Because I keep thinking about the Uranus unhinged. I'm like, I'm oddly comfortable with it.
No, it's been a bit of a buzzword around lately. I feel like it's when things are in free fall or flying by the seat of your pants. It's a bit unusual, but you're just going with it. That kind of vibe.
Yeah, it can probably feel unsettling to probably most people. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, that's me. Yep.
Yeah, I think unhinged, but to me, unhinged is kind of like just not the norm. Like to me, I think, well, I don't know. I wouldn't call myself unhinged a lot of the time. But then when I think back on times where I would say I was a bit unhinged, it's like I wouldn't normally act that way. It's like when you act in a way where you do things that you wouldn't normally do.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely, I definitely think, it's a way that things, that you wouldn't actually normally do when I say unhinged. Yeah, that you wouldn't normally do, that are really, really out of character, slightly unconventional, maybe really unconventional sometimes.
Yeah.
But in a way that you're like, okay, I guess we have to go with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So next, we've got on the 18th of July, Uranus in Gemini will make a trine, which is like a positive aspect to Pluto in Aquarius retrograde. So it'll be interesting to see if any of the shadow sides of Aquarius come to light to be transmuted in a positive way there, because it's making that sort of positive aspect. It's like it's a harmonious relationship between those two planets. So it'll be really a good opportunity to objectively look at your own psyche and your own things and be open-minded to new ideas as to how you can help the collective in any way, or if humanity comes up with something good on that day around that time.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like a really interesting conjunction, or not conjunction, but
trine.
Just those aspects with Pluto in retrograde at that time. It's because you think about, I normally think of the aspects just with a standard planet, but doing an aspect with a planet that's in retrograde, how does that shift from the way that planet is normally expressed?
Well, I suppose because Pluto, it's that sort of inner work, so we're sort of thinking about ourselves more than it being like a collective thing, because it is that, backwards inner motion. So sort of more Pluto in Aquarius seems to do with ourselves, like how am I showing up on technology? How am I interacting with technology? How am I in groups? Am I expressing myself authentically? Am I celebrating others for expressing themselves authentically? And then, any radical ideas or thoughts about that, that I can express outwardly with Uranus in Gemini.
Yeah. Yeah, it's more like introspective and reflective when things are in retrograde. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. And then on the 21st of July, we'll have Jupiter opposite Pluto. So we talked before about about using that Jupiter in Leo energy as an antidote to that sort of more aloof Pluto in Aquarius energy. So Pluto and Jupiter basically expands everything that it's near. So that'll just be inviting a lot more connection to the heart and adding heart to what could be potentially pretty detached energy with all of the Aquarian and Gemini energy floating around.
Yeah, interesting.
And then on the 25th of July, and this is a massive one, so Neptune will sextile Pluto, which is another harmonious aspect, that it's basically huge society shifts, a lot of spiritual transformation and awakening. So Neptune's sort of bringing, the Neptune in Aries is bringing in the just do it kind of vibes in terms of spirituality. And Pluto in Aquarius is asking us to wake up to the dark side of community and technology. So it's sort of that group think, hive mind versus pure sense of self, and then acting from raw authenticity with obviously Neptune in Aries versus detached calculations of Pluto in Aquarius.
Yeah.
So that's, July is actually massive.
Yeah, there's a lot happening in July.
Big shifts
Yeah,
there.
like a lot of big outer planet action.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I think we should get you on closer to the second half of the year. So maybe in June or July,
Yeah.
and we can then look at what's
Yeah.
happening in the second half, because there's so much happening just in this first
Yeah.
half. Well, everyone's hearing it here first. We're going to get Sarah back on in, let's say, in June. Yeah, let's say June.
Just give us ahead
And
of
we
all
can
those
look
exciting
at
things.
July and the rest of the year, because there's so much happening. But I think, I love sort of getting this understanding of what's going on in the collective. But again, what I'm starting to deep dive into more is how it affects your personal chart, like how it affects your natal chart and where things are moving through in your houses, which is obviously what you do in reading, Sarah. So, highly recommend. We finally booked in to have a reading with you, and highly recommend people do that if they are interested, or if, not just like, because there's general interest, but, if you've got big things planned, like if you want to start a business, if you want to travel, if you want to move country, like if you've got these things planned, it can be so beneficial to actually look at how these transits affect you as an individual. And then again, you don't have to rule your whole life by it, but it can definitely help to guide you in whatever it is that you're doing or want to do.
Yeah, definitely. Especially the Neptune in Aquarius piece is huge. So that's a really fun one to dive into and look at how you can use it.
Excellent. So if people want to dive into how these transits are going to be aspecting their charts, where can they find you and book a session?
So through my website, which is www.sarah-norris.com.au, I actually have a special on my 30-minute astrology readings. So if you go in and use the code Neptune26 on a 30-minute reading, you'll get a 20% discount off those ones.
Awesome.
So
Beautiful.
that's a really good way to jump into that. And you can check out my Instagram, which is, what's my Instagram handle? I've had a brain fart. It's
Sarah Norris something.
Sarah Norris with 2 underscores. I'm also on Substack as Sarah Norris Astrologer. So I've just started writing a few bits and pieces, and I'll pop those on there. That's where I go into things in a bit more long form that doesn't fit onto Instagram.
Wow. Yeah, I'm definitely going to sign up for that because I like to do some Substack reading quite frequently. So
yeah. Well, I read your one that you put out recently about, using this with children. And again, I just love that. I think anything that we can use as a tool to better understand ourselves and the people around us, in relationship, I just think it's so beneficial. And it's just really a way to, operate within our relationships more harmoniously, instead of it being, because I think we've all our generation has grown up with, a lot of the parenting is like, well, this is just how you do it. Like, this is how it goes for everyone. And it's like, not really.
Nah. It doesn't work.
Right.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Sarah. I absolutely loved this conversation and can't wait to get you back on again. And we might even have to dive in it because I love tarot as well. And I'd love to see again, because, you mentioned some of the tarot cards, and I know some of them that, are associated with certain planets and signs and things. So we can even go a little bit deeper into that because I find that fascinating.
Yeah, it is. It's awesome.
All right. Well, thanks for turning up so brilliantly. Appreciate the work you put into with the presentation. I hope people found that extremely informative. And I
implore
can't wait to do this
people,
again.
to actually don't let this be just another podcast that you mindlessly listen to on your drive or whatever. Like, actually, take those journaling questions that Sarah had throughout the presentation and actually sit with them if you do want to learn more about this, or, utilize astrology as a tool for deeper self-discovery. Definitely actually sit with that and learn more. And of course, if you want to go deeper, definitely go and book a session with Sarah.
Thanks, guys. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you. Thanks for tuning in to the Natural AF podcast, where we explore holistic healing modalities, mindsets, and methods that reconnect us to nature and our natural state of being.
If something resonated, share this episode and see the show notes for our guest links, as well as all of our discount codes for our aligned affiliates and natural art form, where we handcraft a range of organic, natural remedies that help support your body's natural healing abilities and help support the show.
If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please take a few seconds to leave us a rating and review. And if you're watching on Rumble or YouTube, hit the like button and drop us a comment. And be sure to subscribe to our channel for the latest updates.
We're not here to conform. We're here to remember what's real. So step into your power, be curious, and be natural AF.